Welcome to the Millionaire Mindset Shifts, how to think like a seven-figure CEO. So getting started a little bit later today because we had some technical difficulties. We're using this new platform and it was just set up the wrong way. So had to get it set up last minute in the right way. Anyway, before we dive in, I want to let you know that today's live is extra special because it's the very first part of a brand new mini series that I'm going to be running for you called the High Ticket Empire Blueprint. So, over the next few weeks, I'll be walking you step by step through the exact pillars that you need to build and scale a high ticket business that gives you time freedom. Because let's face it, financial freedom, yes, we absolutely want that too. But if you're making so much money, and you don't have the time, then what's the point? So we're going to be giving you both, okay? How to build and scale a high ticket business that gives you time and money freedom and the impact you were made for. So think of it like this. We're not just covering random tips each week. Like this is a full on roadmap. Every week builds on the last one. And if you stick with me for the entire series, you'll come out on the other side with a clear, proven system to create your own high ticket client empire. So, with that being said, you might want to subscribe and put on those notifications so that you don't miss what's about to come. And today we're kicking things off with the very first pillar, the millionaire mindset shift. Because let's be honest, if you don't start thinking like a seven-figure entrepreneur, no amount of strategy, funnels, or fancy automations are going to take you there, right? It's like that destination. What do you have to put in when you go to use the GPS? You've got to put in the destination, right? If you don't do that, what happens? You just either sit there or go around in circles. So your business will only grow as much as you do. So with that said, let's jump right into today's topic. But first, let me ask you this, a really blunt question. Do you really think like a millionaire CEO, or are you still stuck in the mindset of a freelancer just trying to pay the bills? Okay. Because even if you're thinking big and you don't quite get there, maybe you just fall a little bit short, right? That's okay. If you're thinking like just struggling or you're just surviving, or if those words come out of your mouth, and pay attention to those words, because your words are really important, because what you say is your thoughts, your beliefs, right? Deep down inside. So if you catch yourself saying, like, if someone says, "How are you?" and you're like, "Oh, I'm surviving," it's not very empowering, right? So really pay attention to that. But anyway, here's the truth. If your brain is stuck at that 5K months, then your business will never break through to 10K, 20K, or 100K months. Okay. And you might be thinking like, oh my God, how is that even possible? But it is. Okay. It's very possible, especially if you have a high ticket offer for 5,000, 10,000, right? One $5,000 offer, one client at $5,000, all you need is 10 of those to hit 50,000, right? If you can handle helping 10 people, right? Then you can get there, right? If you can deliver what you promise. So anyway, in this live, I'm going to be pulling back the curtains on the exact millionaire mindset shifts that you need to make before you even hit six figures. Because if you want to scale your business into a seven-figure coaching empire, right? You got to start there. So stick with me, because these shifts are the difference between grinding endlessly and finally stepping into true freedom. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Heather Blaze. Hello, welcome. And I help coaches, consultants, and experts like you set up systems, strategies, and automations that bring in high ticket clients on demand. And over the past 20 years, I've worked with entrepreneurs who were stuck spinning their wheels. They were confused. They were overwhelmed. They were just stuck in the hustle. And I helped them step into their power as CEOs, running businesses that bring in consistent, 10K, 30K, 50K months and beyond. And here's the thing, it always starts with mindset. if you don't think like a millionaire, if you're thinking like an employee, let's even say that, right? Because our society teaches us to be employees. Our whole system is set up that way. It teaches you to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work, 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 do, do, do. It doesn't teach you how to be a business owner. And then some people think, oh, well, I'm a business owner because I own my own business, but they could just be self-employed. There's a difference. I don't know if you've ever watched Robert Kiyosaki with the it's the SI or ESBI, I think is what it is, that quadrant. So E is for employee, the S is self-employed, B is for business, and then there's the investor, right? So the employee has to trade time for money. The self-employed also has to trade time for money. If you don't show up, you're not going to make the money. A business owner sets up the proper systems, which is what I help do. And then there's the investor that just invests that money and that just works for them, right? So those are the difference if you didn't know. So if you don't think like a millionaire CEO or even a business owner, right? There's no strategy in the world is going to stick. Okay. If you're stuck in that employee mindset, I call it, I shift my clients from employee into empire mindset in the first week that we work together, because nothing will work if we don't do that first. And that's why today is so important. So here's what we're covering. First of all, I'll show you the biggest mindset traps that are keeping you from scaling beyond where you are right now. And then I'll walk you through the millionaire shifts that will help you stop thinking like a freelancer and start leading like a CEO. And then finally, I'm going to give you a simple framework that you can use every single day to reprogram your brain for growth and abundance. And by the end, you'll have the mental playbook on to stop the mental playbook to stop capping your income and start scaling like the leader that you've always been meant to be. So let's get into step one. First thing is spotting the mindset traps. So most coaches and consultants think their biggest problem is marketing or leads or closing those sales. But the truth is, the real bottleneck is happening right here. Okay. You're still operating with an employee mindset instead of that CEO mindset, or I call it the empire mindset. So, employees, what do? They trade time for money. Okay. That's what we're taught to do. Trade your time for money. CEOs build systems that create money without their constant presence. So, for example, one of my clients used to tell me, Heather, I feel like I'm working all the time. I'm exhausted and I'm still not making the money that I thought I would. And the problem wasn't her skills. She was amazing. She was an expert at what she did. The problem was that she was still operating like a service provider. So just saying yes to everything and undercharging and stuck in the client delivery. So once she shifted her mindset to, I'm the CEO of a company that solves high level problems, she doubled her rates, she set those boundaries, and then she started building systems. And that single shift transformed her from a hustler, right, to a leader. Does that make sense? Okay. So on top of that, let's move into step 2. Okay. So the millionaire shift number 1 is going from scarcity to abundance. And I go on calls constantly with people. Like weekly, I'm talking to different people, and it's rampant, the scarcity mindset that's out there. Okay. A lot of people, they have the scarcity mindset. Oh, and by the way, I just finished writing a book. It's going to be published on Audibles in about 10 days. Quick plug here. And it's for women and their finances, how to get your finances in order and build wealth without overwhelm. So um if I remember, I'll put a link to it in here. It's not out yet though. It's going to be out and it's got to get approved. It's going to be 10 more days. But anyway, I'm getting off track. back to the first millionaire shift. Okay. Stop focusing on what you don't have and start focusing on opportunities. So scarcity says, oh, clients are hard to really find. I don't know how to find them. I need to take whatever I can get. Abundance says, my ideal clients are everywhere. I choose who I want to work with. Okay. I choose when I want, who I want, and where I want to work from too. Okay. So it's kind of like gardening. If you plant seeds in poor soil, and you keep saying, "Ugh, nothing ever grows for me," what happens, right? You keep confirming that story. But if you fertilize the soil with belief and care and attention, suddenly growth becomes inevitable. So, millionaire CEOs choose to plant in rich soil. They expect abundance. Make sense? So let me know in the comments here where you're at. Are you still in scarcity? Are you working on shifting to that abundance? Because here's the thing, it shouldn't take a long time. A lot of people think it should take months or years. It can really just be an aha moment. And that's what I walk my clients through in that first week, these specific exercises that takes them from that scarcity mindset that's been pre-programmed in their lives for 30, 40, 50 years, right? It's kind of like riding a bike. We just one minute you don't know how, and the next minute you get it. You find your balance, and then you can't not see it, right? You always know how to ride a bike. And it's the same thing with this. There's specific exercises that you can walk through. Um, that just shift it like that. It's an aha moment, it's a light bulb moment, it's a shift, completely shift, right? Going from that scarcity to abundance mindset. So it doesn't have to take long when you're doing it the right way. Anyway, let's talk about millionaire shift number 2. This is going from doing to leading. Okay. So the next shift is moving from being that doer to being the leader. And freelancers ask, how much can I personally get done today? A CEO asks, how can I create systems or hire the right people that get it done without me? So you got to think of it like building a restaurant. So if you're the chef, the waiter, the cashier, and the dishwasher, you're going to get pretty burnt out pretty quickly, right? But if you step back and you hire the right people, set up the right processes, suddenly your restaurant can really serve hundreds without you even breaking a sweat in the kitchen every night, right? So that's the CEO shift. And I used to see this a lot with Quiznos. I don't know if you know my background, but I started Quiznos in Canada. We've got the master franchise rights for Quiznos in Canada. We started it from nothing and grew it to over 250 locations across Canada. And I would see these franchisees, we'd set up their systems where they were supposed to be orchestrating everybody, right? But what they would do is they would be stuck in this scarcity mindset and they would stand behind the cash register because they were afraid someone was going to steal the money out of the cash register, right? Kind of makes sense, I guess. But because they did that, they couldn't see what was happening everywhere else. So things weren't getting made properly, the times were slow, the place was a mess, and then it just led to people not coming back over time, right? Because they were getting inconsistent things. Like, so anyway, it's totally makes sense to me, and that's a good example too. But anyway, back to this though. One of my clients resisted this really. She thought outsourcing meant that she'd lose control. But when she finally let go of some tasks like social media scheduling, onboarding emails, she realized she gained control because she could focus on high value activities that brought in revenue. Make sense? So the next millionaire shift is from short term to long term thinking. And most entrepreneurs are so busy chasing the next $1,000 that they sabotage their ability to create 100,000 or more. Millionaires play this long game. They're okay investing time, money, or resources today because they know that the payoff is multiples later, right? So a lot of people I see they're like scared to invest in a coach to shave off that time, right? I paid $12,000 for my first coach and I made 16,000 within the first 6 weeks of implementing everything. It didn't take long because I just used their knowledge, wisdom, and expertise. And then if I would have just went spinning my wheels, right? And I didn't invest the 12,000, yeah, it only sounds like a $4,000 difference, but that paid off that education. And then I made multi-millions after that because of that, right? So, and if I would have waited, to try and figure it out on my own. Like if you look at the statistics, 50% of business owners succeed within about 3 to 5 years of starting their business. The other 50% never figure it out. They get overwhelmed, they get confused, they get, exhausted, they quit. Um, so what's worse, right? 3 to 5 years of figuring it out or never figuring it out, or you figure out a way to get 12 grand. I just put it on a 0% interest credit card and had a year to pay it back, made my money back in no time, paid it off, right? Um, but that way I was able to start getting that money in the bank. I would have lost millions if I would have tried to figure it out on my own. I mean, think about it. Think about like Jeff Bezos, right? He ran Amazon at a loss for years. Why? Because he had a long-term vision. And that's how millionaires, or he's a billionaire, right? Think. So they don't ask like, how do I survive the week? Back to that survival mode, right? They ask, how do I dominate the next decade? So when you start asking long-term questions, you stop making desperate decisions like discounting your coaching, saying yes to misaligned clients, or chasing shiny objects. And you start building the empire that lasts. Sounds good? So now here's a little bonus mindset hack that changed everything for me. Millionaire CEOs don't just consume, they create, they implement. Instead of spending hours scrolling and comparing themselves to others and researching and all this stuff, they use that time to create offers, content, and opportunities. And then if it doesn't work, they pivot. That's the key, really, right? Just take action, take aligned action. Again, you want to have that mindset, where that abundant mindset. And then from there, if you're feeling good, that's aligned action, right? If it doesn't work, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I tell my clients, take imperfect action, and we can pivot along the way. So here's my challenge to you. For the next week, every time you catch yourself consuming, scrolling Instagram, reading emails, watching YouTube, pause and ask, am I consuming or am I creating? That one question can shift you from passively absorbing to actively building your empire. So if this is resonating with you and you're serious about stepping into your millionaire CEO mindset so that you can scale your coaching business or service-based business, then don't just stop here. Again, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of this mini series. Because each week we're going to be stacking on another piece of this puzzle. And if you're ready to accelerate this journey, you can join my free training where I show you the exact system that my clients use to hit 10K, 30K, 50K, whatever months consistently without burning out. Okay. I've been doing this 20 plus years. I started back in 1996 and I've seen everything. So, I have a lot of wisdom and knowledge and expertise to share. So you can grab your spot by clicking the link in the description below. Spaces are limited though, so make sure that you register now. And to recap, today we're going to uncover, or not what we're going to uncover. We uncovered it already. Um, the millionaire mindset traps, right? The key shifts from scarcity to abundance, from doing to leading, and then from short term to long term thinking. So these are the foundations that, of thinking and acting like a 7-figure CEO. And remember, your business can only grow as big as your mindset allows it to. So the good news is that you can reprogram your thinking starting today. Next week, we're going to be diving into pillar 2, which is the authority accelerator, how to position yourself as the go-to expert in your niche. So you're not going to want to miss that, because once you've got mindset and you've got authority, authority is what makes the right clients start chasing you. Okay. So my recommendation to you today is to go take action. Go take that imperfect action. And I will see you in the next part 2. And you can also check out my next video, either here or here, because that is full of a lot of value as well.